There's an operating system that looks like it was designed by a Windows 95 cult leader running entirely on divine intervention and sleep deprivation. No internet, no security, 16 colors, 640 by 480 resolution, and it boots directly into its own programming language, where God allegedly talks to you through a random Bible word generator. This is TempleOS, and it might be the most fascinating operating system ever made, created entirely by one man, Terry Davis. Before people turned him into an internet myth, Terry was a real programmer working at Ticketmaster, writing enterprise systems in the 90s. Then schizophrenia completely derailed his life. He became homeless, lived in a van, and spent over a decade building an entire operating system from scratch because he believed God told him to build a third temple digitally. And when I say from scratch, I mean everything. Kernel, compiler, graphics engine, file system, games, programming language. Over 120,000 lines of code written by one person with untreated schizophrenia and an absolutely terrifying level of programming skill. And the craziest part, the OS is actually good. Not good in a daily driver way, more like, why is this bizarre religious operating system technically impressive kind of good? TempleOS runs entirely in Ring 0, meaning there's no separation between applications and the kernel. Every program gets full hardware access, no memory protection, no sandboxing. Any app can instantly crash the system or overwrite anything in memory, which sounds insane because it is. Modern operating systems are built around distrust. Everything is isolated from everything else because users are chaotic little goblins who click freerobux.exe. But TempleOS was built on the idea of complete transparency. Terry believed there should be no barriers between man and machine. From a cybersecurity perspective, this is horrifying. From a philosophical perspective, it's weirdly beautiful. The entire OS is locked to 640 by 480 with 16 colors, because Terry believed that was the resolution God wanted. No HD, no GPU acceleration, no modern UI frameworks, just raw VGA graphics that somehow ended up having one of the most recognizable aesthetics in computing. And honestly, it looks amazing. Everything has this sharp pixel art style that feels like an alternate timeline where operating systems evolved from arcade machines instead of corporate design meetings. Even the 3D graphics are rendered entirely in software and somehow still look cool. Then there's HolyC. Yes, that's the actual programming language. Terry made his own language specifically for TempleOS. It's basically C combined with instant compilation, graphics APIs, sound functions, and direct hardware access. The shell itself is also the compiler, so you can literally type code directly into the terminal and execute it instantly. Want to make a game? Type code, run it immediately, modify it while it's running. The whole operating system is basically one giant live coding environment. Everything is editable. Everything is source code. It feels less like using an OS and more like directly communicating with the computer's nervous system. Then we get to the part that sounds fake, the Oracle. TempleOS contains a program where you ask God a question, press a key, and it generates random words from the King James Bible. Terry believed these were direct messages from God and used them to make development decisions. Imagine debugging memory corruption at 3 a.m. and your operating system responds with mountain, serpent, justice. And somehow that determines your kernel architecture. The file system was also completely custom. Terry created Red C, his own 64-bit file system, years before 64-bit systems became mainstream. And TempleOS intentionally has no networking support whatsoever. No TCP/IP stack, no Wi-Fi, no Ethernet drivers, because Terry believed the CIA was monitoring him through the internet, which means TempleOS is either the ramblings of Perowitz schizophrenia or technically the most secure operating system ever made because malware can exfiltrate data if the OS literally cannot connect to the internet. The documentation is another experience entirely. You'll read genuinely brilliant explanations about compiler design and kernel architecture, then suddenly Terry starts explaining how God revealed interrupt handling to him through a vision. It feels like reading a computer science textbook written during a fever dream. And somehow it still teaches you real things. He also built games, a lot of them, flight simulators, tank games, racing games, all inside TempleOS, all written in HolyC, and because everything is live code, you can literally pause the game, edit the source code, recompile it, and continue playing instantly. That's not even modern game engines doing that. That's one guy in a van talking to God through a random number generator. TempleOS also constantly plays MIDI hymns in the background because Terry believed the temple should always glorify God through music. So while you're programming or exploring the OS, there's this weird low-quality church soundtrack playing the entire time. And then there were Terry's live streams. People would watch him code for hours while he explained operating system internals, argued with chat, talked about conspiracies, and occasionally dropped genuinely genius programming insights between schizophrenic episodes.
The CIA is going down. The CIA has been cluster-fucking everything.
It was fascinating and deeply uncomfortable because underneath all the internet memes was a seriously ill person whose mind was collapsing in public while still producing technically impressive work. Terry died in 2018 after being hit by a train. He was 48 years old. Homeless, still working on TempleOS until the end. And despite everything, TempleOS survived him. Programmers still maintain forks like Shrine. People still study the source code. OS developers still talk about some of Terry's ideas because underneath the madness, there was real engineering talent. TempleOS matters because it proves something modern tech forgot. One person can still build something massive. Just one unbelievably stubborn programmer building an operating system exactly the way he thought computers should work. It's beautiful. It's tragic. And it's unlike anything else ever made. R.I.P. Terry Davis, the only programmer who may have genuinely built an operating system for God. If you like the way I break this stuff down and you actually want to learn hacking the right way, CyberFlow Academy isn't just another learning platform. We provide focused, advanced courses in key areas like website hacking, bug bounties, OSINT, reverse engineering, and more. Material that goes far beyond what can be taught on YouTube. Otherwise, I'll get another strike. You also gain access to our active and ambitious Discord community, where you can reach me directly whenever you need guidance. And listen, I know that cybersecurity evolves fast, so I have made a commitment to constantly update the material and add new courses. We already have 500 plus members learning, landing bounties, and applying these skills in the real world. So what are you waiting for? Join through the link in the description and use code CyberFlow50 to get a whopping 50% off, so hurry up.
Still stuck in tutorial hell. We got full courses step by step as well. Web hacking labs, real attack flow. Not click here, actually break the code. Reverse engineering, crack moves inside. Gidra open, ego died. Bug bounty methods that actually scale. Find one vuln, that's grocery money mail. $29, that's it bro. Skill goes up, that's CyberFlow. Python for hackers, C plus Paint. That own new course dropping every month. No content drought, we stack it up. Private Discord, killers in chat. Stuck on a bug, we fixed that.